Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time once again to play some more of Steve Jackson's Sorcery. Now, I know I was wanting to get this finished in time for Fighting Fantasy Fest number 4. Obviously that didn't happen. Before I continue much further, a couple of little points to get out of... Well, not little. There's a few things I should mention. Number 1, the Queen is dead. Long live the King. It saddens me to say this, but life goes on. We have a new monarch. He will be crowned later today, and I suppose it wasn't too much of a surprise, really. After the passing of the Prince Regent, the Queen was... She clearly wasn't going to stick around too much longer. She wanted to be with him, and I think we should all respect that. It's been an honour to live in a country ruled by one so dedicated to her people, who has given a life of service. And I think that's worth appreciating. Her reign is... she's the longest reigning female monarch we've had. Reigning longer than Queen Victoria, and that's really saying something. I remember when I was quite young, a children's picture book. There was a Ladybird book. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Ladybird books abroad. Ladybird books were, a children's brand. And there was a picture of her visiting children in hospital. And I remember thinking she looked like a fairly normal, friendly, approachable looking person. Yeah, so that's the first thing. And if I seem a bit saddened during this episode, it's probably because of that, really. It's come on... Right, I would say it came on relatively suddenly, but there were warning signs that she was getting ready to go. Over the last few months now. Yeah. Second thing is I did get to go to Fighting Fantasy Fest. I got to have a little word with Ian Livingston and ask him how I said given that it supposedly started 2 or 3 months ago, how's the Freeway Fighter Apocalypse going? And he said remarkably better than in the books. And I did remind him that he'd also predicted it would be a virus spread by mass international travel. It's like, ooh, just a few months out. He saw the funny side of that, and he remembered, so that was good. He didn't remember the exact details, but he remembered that he'd had it start this year in July, I think. Yeah, so that was fun. Got to do a lot of fun things at Fighting Fantasy Fest. Lone Wolf is making a comeback. I saw Lone Wolf. New Lone Wolf books. And not the Mongoose ones either. Good ones. With decent cover art and better maps. Like the old maps, the old Gary Chalk maps. And alternate maps inside as well, which were different. They look so good, and I'm probably going to be getting some. I did a little poll before I went away, saying, which Fighting Fantasy series, which game book series would you like to see me play a book from next? I haven't checked it recently, but it looks like Lone Wolf is definitely winning. So Flight from the Dark could be coming very soon. The Lone Wolf books will be played on Project Aeon, the Lone Wolf archive. Fortunately, Joe Diva gave them permission to host the original versions of the books forever, in perpetuity, before he sadly passed away a few years ago. And I never got to meet him. I wish I had. Really, I do. That's another passing. Third thing to mention is, hey, we're back here again. The Z spell has once again restored us to this point in the adventure. I'm going to skip over the stuff that's exactly the same as before, because it's the same timeline, and unless I notice anything obviously different... 2 men in heavy robes. No. Continue along the road. We are not going in there just yet. Go straight for middle. We don't need to see the beggar this time. We've seen her before. If she remembers us, that would be really dodgy. No, just move. Don't cast a spell. Don't let them know you're doing magic. So yeah, I'm going to get to the gates and start exploring towers again. Will anything happen this time in the alley? Look down the lane. See a large tavern with plenty of noise coming from it. I have no coins. I feel I must sleep by the fire with the homeless people. I'll go over to them, chat a bit, maybe even get to share a meal. They've got food after all. Speaking of which, though... Yeah, hello. Yeah, same lady. Why don't you live in the houses? There's a nightmare magic death trap. I could go meet that woman in the house again. And maybe things would be different. Just a travelling through. Okay, that's enough. No food? I don't look that threatening just now. I should probably pray for healing, though. That will be very helpful in the time to come. Too dangerous to wander around in. Okay, I don't get to sleep there tonight. The towers it is then, probably. Ah! You pass by the alleys and follow the road as it heads towards the rising wall of Mampang. After a while, the path opens out into a stony clearing. Darkness closes in. You should find a suitable spot to sleep, especially on an empty stomach. Everything seems quiet. Well, not right here at the neck of the alley. I should at least find a corner so I'm not in people's way. Across the square is a low wall set with a door. The guards do not seem to be guarding it, but none are going anywhere near it either. I'm moving. I mean, when a crowd gathers in the morning, I don't want to be there asleep to get trampled on or kicked or booted, you know. You cross into the middle of the small square. Guards move this way and that across the flagstones. The sun disappears. You move on through the dark. Through the door I go then. You make your way to the far wall, into which is set a low door. Moonlight covers everything. You feel an incredible energy rising from behind the door, as though something was chained there. You try the door. It is merely latched against the wind and not locked. Which way now? Through the door. And now we're back here in this portion of the college. I will look at the towers. I will sleep. You find a spot by the wall in which to shelter. The sense of energy in the air is stronger here, but you will at least be safe. You have eaten nothing today, but you have no provisions, but only a single vial of limber juice, which I will save for an emergency in case I need to counter hot. You close your eyes and let your tiredness overtake you. Now, given that I've gone back in time to before the time when the Archmage found me in the dead of night and visited me in my sleep, he may not remember that meeting, which hasn't happened yet, but it does mean it could happen again. You roll over, trying to sleep, but you cannot seem to rest. Oh, it's like this interminable heat we've had in these insipid nights. After a while, you get to your feet and begin to walk through the darkness, or is this a dream? Crumbling walls and broken towers move past on either side. You're walking past an old crumbling building where you hear voices. I will stop to listen. You listen closer, leaning against the wall. It sounds like a distant crowd, too far even to be on the other side of the wall. Where are these voices coming from? I'll look over the wall. I'm not going to call out to get their attention. Knock on the wall? Nah, that doesn't make much sense. If voices are loud enough, they're not going to hear me knocking anyway. Looking over the wall, you spot... Oh, not over the top. You spot a missing brick. A grey-green mould has covered the gap, coating the interior with fuzz. As you lean down to peer at the mould, you realise the voices are getting louder. You squint, peering at the mould. It is unusually shaped, varied in colour, with peaks and valleys. Tiny bumps dot the mould, along with taller outcroppings that look like spires. But then something else catches your eye. Movement. Hundreds of tiny specks swarm across the surface of the brick, making conduits in all directions around the mould. What could they be? This feels like a trap. I shouldn't get drawn in, especially if I'm awake. You decide some mysteries are better left unexplored and move on. The wall is lost somewhere behind you. The Archmage is waiting for you. You get to your feet, shaking away the night. Look, it's dark water. The water looks cold as ice and has no reflections. You could explore deeper or escape back to the relative safety of Mampang. Right, plans. I've done this tower. Done-ish this one. Maybe not. Been here. I've gone all the way along this edge. I've come back to here. And here. Here, so I've been in there and met the Hydra, which I'm pretty sure the zap spell was needed. So I need to go through this one, which I have failed to succeed, into these, and to explore this tower. I must learn all the counterspells. Also, I'm still not sure which spell it was that worked so well in here, or if it's unknown. I think it was Doze that worked, but I'm not sure. Alright. You leave the shade of the wall and follow the stepping stones out across the water. Everywhere the signs of ruin abound. Weeds crack the stones, turret roofs and buttresses have collapsed into heaps. Why has the Archmage allowed such ruin? Surely the rumours of his death cannot be true. The early morning sun makes the air glow. You reach the base of a stone tower with a curved archway at its base. The path splits around it, but you must keep moving. So, there's bright light coming from here, which I imagine is the sun spell. I believe we already know the sun spell counters fog. So in theory, we don't need to go in that tower. In the swamp, I mean, maybe Res counters Z? That would be an interesting... If the Archmage can counter the Z spell in the final confrontation, and we can learn the counter and then stop him doing it. we've got many of the counters sorted now, but right, this tower. You cross the waters and push your way inside the crumbling tower without knowing what you might find. The inner doors you stand in front of are twice your height and look to be made of solid metal. The air is thick with an incredible smell. Oh, also at Fighting Fantasy Fest, I got to playtest a new Fighting Fantasy board game, which is not yet finished. I and the other testers gave some very helpful and useful feedback, and it'll be interesting to see how it develops. It wasn't an overly complex game. It was leaning more towards the simple game, right? There's complicated games are fun, simple games are fun, different kinds of fun, right? It was leaning more towards a slightly younger generation, I'd say, but we enjoyed it all anyway. It was a dungeon crawler with random room generation, dungeon generation with a deck of cards similar to something like Warhammer Quest, with the villain's chamber being not directly at the bottom of the deck, but near the bottom of the deck, shuffled into the bottom 10 cards. So you have a good idea when it's coming. We had lots of fun with encounters. We, the heroes, roamed around, eventually confronted a villain and found that one of the heroes, who'd been teleported away into a prison cell... Yeah, the thief had got the item we needed to defeat the villain, and he'd been teleported away into the prison chamber on the other side of the dungeon, and his player had chosen to start a new hero and leave the thief there to rot. So we had to do it the hard way, and the wizard had a ring of invisibility, so he was sneaking past loads of monsters and leaving them for us to deal with, so we weren't able to come and help him in time when he found the villain on his own. And the villain is randomly generated, but not until you meet them. It can be Zagor the Warlock, Balthus Dire, or the other one I always forget the name of. Not Malbordus, not Pentaikora. The one from Crypt of the Sorcerer, but when he was alive. I think that one, yeah. And we discovered that armor rolls are nice because they help mitigate damage a bit, but we were passing armor rolls for both ourselves and the villain for what felt like a good quarter of an hour. It was probably less. It was probably more like 6 or 7 minutes, but it was very long and drawn out. And so, yeah, we were discussing things like, what with random room content generation, we did get to a situation where we actually drew 3 separate traps for one chamber and nothing else in the room. We're like, how do we deal with 3 traps at once? One trap is probably enough in any given room, but the traps are in the same deck hidden in, so... Yeah, we had suggestions for lots of things to do with the way things could be generated and interacted with. It was fun. And I got to meet people, talk to people. I got to listen to lots of the panels. Authors and artists, and it was a great time. And Ian McCaig appeared via video link from the other side of the Atlantic Ocean because he didn't have enough free time to come over, but he had enough time to talk to us all, take questions from the audience, show us things he's been working on, show us things which technically haven't been published yet. So we got to see a few things that, we were all told you're not allowed to record stuff in this panel. We got to see some of the concept art he did for the movie versions of Rocket Raccoon and Groot. And of course there was talk about the fact that, he designed Darth Maul and did lots of the Fighting Fantasy covers and interior art, lots of the iconic Fighting Fantasy art. He's actually working on a graphic novel now, and I was just really pleased he was there because I heard he died a few years ago. So, yeah, not of coronavirus, but of something else in like 2020, I think I heard it, 2019, 2020. So I'm really glad to know that he's alive and well. He's a great entertainer, always fun to be around, and yeah, it was good. It was good. Also, I'm extremely pleased to know that the art style Scholastic Books had, the cartoony art style that Scholastic Books had started pushing in the reprints. Yeah, Ian and Steve have managed to get them to go back to the older art style. I don't think it'll affect the books they've already published, but the new stuff going forwards is going more back towards the old fighting fantasy style of really great art. I didn't like the cartoony stuff, but if it was going to sell and be popular, I was willing to accept it. I did not buy the new books that were there on the day. I wish I had, because I'd blown most of my money on the 75mm Zagor miniature from Atlantis Miniatures. Yeah, and an awesome Lone Wolf t-shirt. The Lone Wolf t-shirt is back. It's pretty much the same one you would have got if you were a member of the Lone Wolf Club back in the day, which I never was, because my pocket money was 50 pence a week and I just couldn't afford the Lone Wolf Club fees, which are like £2.30 a month or something. I had a great time. I had a good time. It was, when I got home I was pretty exhausted because I'd been out of bed and up and about and walking, sitting. You know, I'd been on buses, trains, coaches, and on foot for, well, let's see. When I got back, it was like, I've been up for like 19, 20 hours without a really decent chance of rest. Yeah, it was good to be home. And yet, I was still a bit restless and stayed up for an hour or two before I went to bed. Right, I'm waffling, aren't I? Let's get back to this tower before I diverge even further. The inner doors stand in front of you about twice your height and seem to be made of solid metal. Yeah, definitely smell that smell. I personally have no sense of smell, but my character does, so I will take advantage of it. You sniff the air. Smoke. Melting metal. It is as though a gigantic smithy lies behind this door. That's hot. Doc. Not going to waste a spell. Not going to put my ear to it. You hurry quickly away from this place. Yeah, too right. I pretty much have to go back the way I came, don't I? Oh, it's the wind, the stinging water. Right, let's move on. The air seems to fizzle and crackle with secret energy. Which way now? Well, obviously I'm going to this tower here and trying to find a way through it. A path of stepping stones runs across. Yeah. Not going to cast a spell. Going to keep moving because I've already dealt with that tower. I can't remember what it was, but I dealt with it. A few clouds scud across the sky. You enter the next tower nervously. A fetid scent assaults your nostrils. The inside of the tower is cavernous, far larger than should be possible. The stone floor on which you stand is turned to a thin strip of soft earth choked with reeds, and beyond it is a deep pool of foul-smelling water. I learned that the most mud actually worked here, despite... Or was it Foff? I mean, it looks like a mud spell. Let's try Foff first, then. I think mud actually worked, bizarrely. Why would the swamp be affected by such a spell? Because it's a... Forceful doesn't, but instead whirlpool begins to slow and it stills. Right. Look across the swamp. Explore the room. You make your way a little further into the room. The floor is dirt, and the little beach by the door soon disappears into the swamp. There is no way to walk around the room. Well, guess what? I got magic. And I'm going with a Z spell. A Zen spell, rather. No Zen? Fine. No Fall? What? Pop a rock? No. I mean, I've already cast one spell that seems to work, so... I'm not going to cast Mud. Ah! With the insects. This is dumb. Let's blow all the stamina. You move to starlight in order around you. The only nearby creatures are a group of fireflies who begin to dance in intricate patterns at your direction. The sight lifts your spirits and you rest a while watching them. Let's go down to the water. You make your way to the water's edge. Your boots sink a little into the mud. Nearby is a frothy, bubbling section of water. It is large and seems to be getting more agitated as you draw near. Okay. I'm not going to wade back. Right. Hey! It's a monster from Book 2. It's the Slime Eater. You turn to head back, but a rumbling comes from behind you. You turn to see the frothing water explode upwards. It towers above you, a lumpy mass of mud and reeds. Massive arms stretch out and a huge gaping mouth opens, and this is a colour version, no less. It is a Slime Eater! I will cast a spell. I thought I was already retreating back up to the shore. 6? Wait, B? Oh! I can make myself bigger. Yeah, okay. Could get an invisible wall. Expensive, though. We'll want to save those valuable spell components. Summon a giant would be great. I don't have a giant's tooth, though. Yes. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Be invisible. No yap? Oh, no yap. I can't talk to it. Kin. If I had that gold-backed mirror. That would be great, wouldn't it? Just make another one. Hot. In the swamp with all those marsh gases could be really dangerous. Let's get big. I don't often get to cast this spell. I may regret it. You weave the enchantment. For a moment it seems nothing will happen, but then suddenly you begin to grow to 3 times your normal size. You are now a size to match the monster. With the beast hurt and distracted, now is the time to attack its hurt. Let's go for like a 7. I'm going to go for 2. Come on, come on. There we go. Oh! The Slime Eater growls at you, gobbing filth from its blubbery lips. You swing your sword in a mighty arc. The creature skulks in the brackish water, then rises up and charges. You chop into its body, cutting flesh deeply. Its flesh, there it is in the next sentence, begins to boil strangely. Is that unusual for a Slime Eater? I think it might be safe. Then it drops under the water, almost out of sight. I think it's defending. Go about a 4. Yeah, it was. Standing firmly, you swing a mighty blow at the Slime Eater. Low in the water, the monster escapes almost unharmed. It sinks lower into the water. Its eyes on you. I think it's planning a massive attack. Or a not very big attack. Okay. Warily, you move into a defensive crouch. The Slime Eater stays low and tries to ram you. You dodge as best you can. It begins to lift its bulk out of the water, sending ripples across the marsh. Okay, let's go. Yeah, all in. Oh, bugger! Then you step forward and the ground under the water slopes suddenly. You almost go under. Fighting for balance, you gasp for breath and retch and leave yourself open. The slime eater reaches out with long, clawed hands. For a moment you think the creature will have your head in a single swipe. It disappears into the marsh, almost invisible. I'm going to defend. I think it will too. Yes. Warily you move into a defensive crouch. The slime eater sinks down low into the muck. Then it slips under, its great bulk hidden from view. There's a surprise attack coming. Defend again. Oh! You remain hidden. The slime eater sidles through the water, only its eyes visible. It reaches long clawed arms out of the thick water. Okay. Let's go for like a 2.5. Oh, bugger. Okay. The slime eater charges and bounds. You are spared by your reflexes. You roll across the mud away from it. Blood trickles from the cuts on your arms. It slides down, almost out of sight. I think it's going for a low... or defense. Yeah, low-powered attack or defense. Right. Sidestepping, you slash out at the slime eater. But you cannot cut through the sludge with enough power to really hurt the monster. It grunts as it slinks back. Is it defending again or going for an attack? It's hard to read, actually. Overall, it often sounds very defensive, but that doesn't mean it will be. I want to go about a 3. Oh, yeah, that was serious. The slime eater spits a fountain of foul gloop at you. Out. You dodge behind a woody shrub and cover your nose from the stench. You gasp for breath, injured and worn down, and the smell of the mud pool fills your lungs. It drops down into the mud, watching you intently. Right, stuff it. Just a 2? That's terrible. The smell is getting worse. Rushing forward, you charge at the slime eater, catching it a light blow. The slime eater lifts up from the water and crashes back down, most of its body bubbling and boiling. It slides lower into the slime, sending up bubbles of foul water. The bubbles imply it might be about to attack. Let's just go all out. Dropping your weight, you chop a heavy stroke against the slime eater, slipping a light blow past its clawed hands. The slime eater lumbers backwards through the pool, screaming and howling in a bubbling voice. It sinks down into the water. I think I've just got to try for the kill. Oh! Fainting left, you slice at the slime eater. The slime eater roars up, exposing a soft area beneath its jaw. You strike with your sword and it sinks in deep. Green ooze leaks down from your neck. And then... silence. Look, it did a lot of damage, but it's a big, dangerous, nasty monster. I'll take it. The slime eater's corpse slips underneath the waves. The fireflies, disturbed by the battle, soon settle back into their routines, but in the distance, the hut still sits on its platform. Oh. You peer into the murky water. There is no sign of any more beasts, but then there was no sign of the last one either. Come on. Something good here. Hang on, am I still big? Am I still... Well, big's not available. Could pop a rock, doesn't seem worth it. Hot. Zap? No. Wait, what is... Counter Zen. Interesting. This is... Look, I'm knackered enough as it is. You make your way back towards the door. How about the boardwalk? You step onto the boards which creak under your weight, causing the torches to sway gently. You see no movement in the hut. The wood creaks under your feet. You cannot stay here for long. It is not safe. I'll walk to the hut. You begin to walk towards the hut when you hear a snap. The boardwalk begins to tilt sideways and you scramble to lose your footing. It's about to collapse. Leap! As the boardwalk begins to slip into the marsh, you leap with all your strength. Flying through the air, you slam into the edge of the hut's platform, scrabbling for purchase as you wheeze with the impact. You pull yourself up, a sucking sound behind you as the marsh absorbs the wood. Oh, there's no going back now. Unless there is. You are safe for now inside the hut. There is very little here. Very little here. A row of tables with some rotten chairs tucked in beneath. On one of the tables, a stack of damp parchment is slowly turning into fur, so it's growing mouldy. At least I hope that's what it's doing. On one side of the hut is a ragged hole in the floor. Look, the paper could fall apart if I touch it, so I should examine it first before it gets any worse. Search for drawers, I can do that after. And hope something nasty doesn't come out the hole. The parchment appears to be the scrawled log notes of whoever was stationed here. The opening remarks are simple. The spell has taken root. The reaction is self-sustaining and appears to be maintaining scale. Day 2. The spell has been self-perpetuating for 30 hours and appears to be entirely stable. Success. Is this the spell? Is this a trap? If I keep reading it, will I be drawn in? Day 4. The boardwalk is definitely sagging. I do not believe it can take my weight any more. Day 6. The force fields appear to work for brief periods of time. They are countering successfully, but they are tiring to cast. Indeed they are. Which day is it? The last of my supplies are exhausted. The whirlpool is exhibiting strange behavior. Whatever lies beneath seems to have reached capacity or is pushing back. Something has climbed up from the whirlpool. I can feel it moving underneath the hut. Oh, that hole. Tell Rosa I miss her. Tell Valaquesh she can go to Hell's Mouth without a fur coat. That is the last entry. I will now search for drawers. You quickly rifle the drawers and tables, but it seems whoever cleared out left nothing behind except the notes of their work. And now for the hole. Being careful not to go too close, you lean over the hole in the floorboards and look down to the mud pool. You cannot help but notice the scratch marks of claws on the planks near the hole. The boardwalk is gone and you cannot stay here, so you have no choice but to drop down into the water and swim. I mean, couldn't I just, look, I'll try for healing. That may help. Once in the water, you spread your arms, trying to keep upright. Thankfully, the whirlpool has dissipated due to your spellcasting. That probably makes it a lot easier to get out of here, to be honest. The water is filthy, but it does not swirl. Of course, all your water-damageable possessions have been ruined. Yeah, that could actually be bad for some of the notes and secrets I have. Thankfully, however, the pages of your spellbook are protected. Still, your fleas have been washed away. Oh, great! You swim with strong strokes. The water is still quite disgusting, and small creatures flicker on either side of you. You will carry this smell on you for some time. I must not use the water outside. I will swim for the shore! You swim back to the shore, shaking off the water as best you can. Now! Right. I can get to this tower from here. This one... Yes. I've forgotten what's in there. You take a moment to regain your breath. Thick, foul water streams from your cloak. The water is deathly still. I would love to cast a spell, but no. You'll make your way up towards the door. I'm getting out of here. I'm not casting another spell. You turn away from the swamp. Its foul gases make you gag and choke. There are other doors from this place, but only one that you can reach, and it I shall use. Gradually, you shrink back down to your normal size. I mean, couldn't I have just waded across it at that size, or was I not that? Was it even deeper? You know, was I not big enough? As the sun climbs towards its peak, the wind picks up a little. You approach the next strange tower, wondering what you will find this time. Yes, I know it said weird. I thought I'd go with strange instead. You step into the room and then recoil. The floor is crawling with bugs, or rather not crawling. The bugs are all standing in orderly rows. Oh! What counts as law? And will I die if I find out? I think I don't know of a counter for law. And I think this is an opportunity to discover it. Ah, correct, I don't. Okay. You look over the bugs. Small bugs, cockroaches and earwigs fill the gaps between larger bugs. Things about the size of goats, but otherwise look like lynch bugs. Beyond basic breathing and antenna twitching, none of the creatures are moving. They appear to be waiting for something. I should absolutely not counter this until I've walked through. You step forwards into the room, expecting the bugs to clear out from underneath your boot. They do not. You squash a dozen or so, while a few more wriggle uncomfortably as you shear their bodies in half. Taking another step into the room, you crush another boot's worth of insects. Looking back, you can see your progress marked out in negative space in the rank and file. You swallow your courage and rising bile and march quickly across the room of bugs, only altering your path to avoid stepping on the largest ones that you cannot simply squash. When you reach the far side, you can see your tracks as clearly as if you had walked in snow. A few bugs are snacking on the ruined remains of their fellows. You hurry out of the tower. I suppose with law I could have told him to get out of the way, but I was trying to find the counter. Okay, so I wanted to walk across and then cast the counter spell. That opportunity was denied to me. If I had countered it, there might have been a seething mass of insects in the way, which would have made it very hard for me to cross. You make your way across a stone walkway, arching high into the air above the swirling waters that pool below until you reach the next curious tower. The suns bake the flagstones. The sun. Single sun. How many suns did I think there were? The tower is barred with a solid wooden door. What counts as DOP? I think I already know. I've had a DOP tower before. You knock on the door. There is no reply, but you hear a faint roaring sound through wood. Uh-oh. What counters DOP? Far. Is it available? It is! Not. Nif. Nip. Nif. Both not known counters. How? I mean, I just open the door and find out, right? So it's... What preparatory spell could I cast before opening the door that would help protect me? You cast a spell and lighten your body weight to a mere fraction of normal. The door is not locked, but it is heavy, as though a tremendous force was pulling it closed from the other side. You open it an inch, and then the door slams itself shut once more. Well, fine. DOP it is, then. Consulting the constellations overhead, you bind the spell. The door swings open, and in I go, and probably instantly regret. You open the door and slip through the gap, but as soon as you're inside the tower, a powerful crosswind grabs you, hurling you through the air. I'll hold on to my pack. I've lightened my weight, so I'm going to get slammed into the wall, aren't I? With a floating spell still lightening your body weight, you are whipped up to the ceiling and tossed around like a leaf in a hurricane, slamming from one wall to another. I'm going to fall and it's going to hurt. You try to cancel the spell, but your arms are too busy shielding your head from collision with the walls to adjust the starlight. You're being tossed this way and that, upside down, more often than right way up. Brace myself. Shouting for help isn't going to help much, so the roaring sound in here might have been the wind. What counts as huff? That's probably what I'm here to learn. And it was probably one of the ones I could have cast outside, because now I'm inside, I can't do anything about it. No known counter. So it would have been one of those. Bugger. I'm going to cast the Z spell again, aren't I? You curl up, trying to protect yourself as best you can. Finally, the wind slams you into the ground. The wind flings you across the space and out through the flapping door on the other side. As you fly through the space, you spy something in the centre, but you're too busy falling this way and that to see what it is. Oh! Oh, the pain. The wind fades and you pick yourself to your feet. You stand outside a tower, path snaking this way and that. Overhead to the west, a high walkway flies overhead. That's 2 overheads. Well, look, I might as well go in here and die. Your weight returns and you settle gradually back down to the ground. You follow the path and make your way into the next tower uncertainly. What is this place? Why was it built? The Hydra is still here waiting. With a loud hissing and snorting noise, it rises up to its full height. It is a foul, many-faced Hydra. I'm not going to wait to see what it does. I will use magic. As I said, I have very vague, ancient memories of casting the zap spell on this Hydra. So I'll try it again. You bind the stars into a pattern around you, building up a charge of electrical energy around your palm. You hurl the bolt at the Hydra and it explodes in a violent screaming explosion of wet snake flesh. I'll search for body. You quickly search over the body. It is still a little warm. Move the body. There might be something underneath it. Unlikely. You tug at the body, attempting to slide it across the floor, but it will not move. It appears to be rooted to the spot by some fixture or else some magic. Fix. Dop counters fix. Interesting. Looking around the room, you notice a few other curious things. Directly above where the Hydra is placed, a few droplets of water hang in mid-air. Dust motes sit still, unmoving. It is as though the centre of this tower was frozen in place. It seems there was a trap here once, but the Hydra was caught in it before you. You leave the room and its bloodied body behind. To the north comes a fearsome bright light from one of the towers. Now, do I have enough stamina to even cast fog? Yes, I do. Oh, there's a doorway. That's interesting. You hurry over another walkway, higher in the air than you had expected, towards the next tower. The sun has reached its highest point now. Powerful light spills from the doorway. Even from here it is all but overwhelming. Your eyes begin to water and run. Oh my goodness. You take another step forward. The skin on your face and hands is beginning to burn. No chance to cast a spell? Right, well, I'll turn back then and try not to die. You turn and all but run from the tower. How is the Hydra alive again? I killed it. Uh, anything that doesn't cost stamina. I don't think it should be alive again. Okay, can't do that. I don't like this. I'm just trapped, aren't I? Trapped by my own curiosity. I think I need to give up on these towers and press on. I didn't have enough stamina to cross the bridge. I wasn't afforded the opportunity to cast a spell, so I believe I probably had to just push on through it. Well, this is a problem, isn't it? Let's compound the problem. Yeah, no prayers here. I'm going to have to cast the Z spell, aren't I? Greetings, creature, you begin. The creature spits, its face is snapping and hissing, but it seems it cannot talk, rather obviously. Is there no, like, Yaz or the other one? Hang on. I'm not presented with a lot of... I mean, walk, zap, hot, raz. These are pretty much all combat spells, really. No, I'm just going to have to die. You drew your sword, ready to engage the creature, but it comes no nearer. You wait, holding your place on the floor, with blade at the ready, but the creature does not advance. It simply moves its heads this way and that. Moving cautiously, you sidle around the creature, heading for the far door. The creature snaps at you, but makes no move to approach. You reach the far door without incident. The brilliant shining tower is to the north. Yeah, I'm not going that way. It won't let me. I would be deaded. You return to the path and walk a short distance. Can I rest soon? Without food and without recourse to prayer, I will surely perish overnight. Back to the Tower of Wind. Right. What might counter Huff? Something that will kill me, I'm sure. Niff! Niff? Yeah! Because the strong wind blow away bad smell, right? You craft the spell, nose plugs it ready, but nothing happens. The roaring sound from the door falls quiet. Awesome! You open the door and go inside. Yeah. The inside of the tower is empty, except for a single brass frame in the centre. Set into the frame is a curved gale horn. I already have one. A counterspell, then. So the spell of wind is negated by that of smell. Lovely. You look over the horn with careful fingers. It is a gale horn, beautifully carved and clearly very, very old. Its delicate surface has been punctured and rudely fixed in order to fit it into the frame. Can't I just take it down instead of destroying it? You already have a gale horn and do not need another, but there is no reason to leave this room in functioning order. You remove the horn from the frame and shatter it into fragments. I didn't need to do that. I could have just taken it down. A wisp of wind escapes as it breaks and is gone. You can leave the tower at your leisure now. The spell is removed. Can I... Nope. Back to the Tower of the Insects. I would love to cast a spell here. You move along the walkway back to the tower beyond. The sun begins to dip, heading towards the horizon. You step back into the Tower of Bugs. The path you have made previously is still quite visible. I do not have the stamina to cast most of these. Okay. Okay. Then... Sure. I can at least be humane about it. Reaching up to the stars, you create the magic and the medallion begins to glow as you rise gently up into the air. You float across the tower, safely out of reach of the bugs on the floor. And this, I believe, was the Tower of Depression. But I do need to get out of here. Yes, the Chamber of Sadness. An item. Your weight returns and you settle gradually back down to the ground. The wind picks up as the evening draws on. You approach the next tower. A gloomy silence descends. On the threshold you pause. This is the Chamber of Sadness, so you have no desire to return inside unprepared. You look through your pack for something you could use to lift your spirits, but find nothing. All you carry are treasures, weapons, items of war. There is no joy in any of it. As for spells, on the other hand, probably pep, right? I have not... Pop isn't going to do it, because that's already a known counter. Zip. Sure. You wind the constellations into... I'm not doing this as a counterspell, I'm just doing it to try and get out of the place. Into alignment around you, and the ring of green metal on your finger begins to glow and glitter. You are suddenly torn through the very air. You reappear on the other side of the tower. Brilliant! You step back onto the path and make your way along it. The sun lowers towards the horizon. It will be dark soon. 3 paths meet at this point in the shadow of the western rock. Every path seems weighed down with sadness and oppression. It is not a place to stand still. Indeed, it is not. Clouds rumble as they roll across the dimming sky. Soon it will be dark once more. You cross the waters and push your way inside the next tower boldly. The chamber inside is bare, except for an empty table in the centre. Various items lie around it as though they had fallen off the surface during some kind of earthquake. Oh, this was the clumsy room, wasn't it? Doors face each other on the opposing walls of the tower. Strewn around the table are an odd assortment of things. A broken cup, a bare bone from a hunk of meat. I need the opposite of those. Sap. No known counter just yet. Sus. Again, a no. It wasn't jig, was it? Counters dump. Yeah, sure. You cast the enchantment, pulling out your bamboo flute and starting to play. The sound echoes around the space, but nothing else seems to happen. Has there been an outcome from your spell? You cannot tell, but you did not seem to feel compelled to dance. Great. Moving on. You make your way to the door, quite satisfied, because I believe I learned that countered there. You return to the path and follow it a short way. The path winds away towards the crossroads. Let's see if I can make it to the monastery before it gets too dark. I probably can't. You step back onto the path and walk a short distance. The sun has almost set and the sky has turned a deep purple. You reach the base of a stone tower with a carved archway at its base. The path splits around it. The air around you seems fetid and mean. Which route will you choose? That one. Without a shadow of a doubt. Can I... Yes! You'll make your way along the path towards the wall and the door set within it. Another night begins and you are worn out. You need to rest, especially on an empty stomach. You find a spot by the wall in which to shelter. The sense of energy in the air is strong here, but you will at least be safe. You have not yet eaten today, but you have no provisions. Only a single vial of blimberry juice. You lie back and try to forget your troubles. What is left of the night is restless with visions. Through it all, you feel the heat of Analand burning, should your quest fail. Oh good, that's text written before. The Archmage is still waiting for me. So, despite not having found me, he's found me and he's waiting for me. He's not looking anymore. He seeks not. He merely waits. You get to your feet, shaking away the night. You could explore deeper or escape back to the relative safety of Mampang. Indeed, relative safety is what I crave right now. You slip through the door once more and back into the square. Which way now? I think now I should head into the very next episode. This one's gone on for quite long enough. I'm going to leave this one here. I hope you've all enjoyed this episode, and I will look forward to seeing you all in the next one, where I will avoid the Sight Masters. I'm going to say goodbye for now, though, and cheerio everyone. See you all soon.